I was minding my own business and relaxing at home when I got a call from a really good friend who I've known for a really long time. They had an issue with the trimmer I sold them years ago and wanted my advice on what to do about it. But they were even more surprised when I told them what I wanted to do about it, which was a straight across trade. However, when you hear the details of this trade, you might not agree with how it went down. In today's video, we're going to be looking at this Echo string trimmer, and the problem is that I've had it in my warehouse for a really long time and I don't know if it even runs. But I want to trade with it, so I need to go through it and get it running again. Now, more than likely, this trimmer is not running, otherwise I don't know why it was in the warehouse to begin with. Now, I'm going to try and repair this trimmer, but yours might be different, so this might not work on yours. So if things aren't working out for you, like in the video, please ask about it. I'll be glad to answer your questions. So my first impressions on this trimmer is that it doesn't appear to be missing any parts, which is great news. It just means I haven't started taking parts off of it yet to use on other projects. Now, not all the parts on this trimmer will work on other models from Echo, so I think that's the main reason why it's not missing any parts just yet. The only real issue with this trimmer so far is that it's about the grossest looking one I've seen in a very long time. But I can't really blame the trimmer for that, and I'm pretty certain that it'll clean up real nice once we get it working like it should. And from the looks of the excess carbon covering the muffler, it would seem like it's been running a bit rich with fuel for quite some time now, but I'm not too concerned about that just yet. Now, the fuel tank is bone dry, so it's pretty obvious that it hasn't had any fuel in it for a very long time. But there is one strange thing that I can see, which is that the purge bulb is completely full of fuel, which I was not expecting. Now, what this is telling me is that the carb is still working well and was at least holding fuel, which doesn't always seem to happen with a carb that's having issues. Next, I want to put some fuel into the tank and test if the purge bulb is still able to pull fuel from the tank through the carb and send it back to the tank. Now, as you can tell, the fuel is returning back to the tank, which is quite surprising. Like I said earlier, a carb that needs servicing would not do this, so it's very fortunate for us that it is. I also want to tip the trimmer on its side to test if the fuel cap or the fuel tank grommet is leaking. But as you can see, there isn't a drop of fuel on the table or around the tank, which is yet another stroke of good luck so far. The next step is to try and start the trimmer and see if our luck continues or if it stops right here. So as you just saw, this trimmer started and ran just like it's supposed to, and obviously without any sort of issues whatsoever. So first off, I have to wonder why this was even given away, and that's because that's how I typically get all the items I put into the warehouse. And secondly, the only thing I have to do now is just get it cleaned up and get it ready for trade, which shouldn't be all that difficult if I use the right cleaner. So to answer the first question, the only thing I could think of is that they wanted to upgrade their trimmer but didn't want to keep a second machine and decided to pass it on to someone else. So of course there's no way to be sure, and to be completely honest with you, I don't recall where or even when I got it, so we're gonna have to stick with that theory. Now the second part about cleaning it is just something I've gotten used to when working on something like this trimmer. Of course, the biggest reason why is that even though this is a trade, I don't want them to think that I'm giving them a piece of junk for what they're giving me. So here's the part that a lot of you may not agree with, and that's the trimmer I intend on getting back from them. Some time ago, I sold a newer style Ryobi 2-cycle string trimmer to them, and to be honest, I really didn't want to do that. But they needed something quickly, and it was the only thing I had at the time that was even fixed and ready for sale. So I ended up selling the Ryobi to them, and for the most part, it was working well for them until one day the fuel tank developed a mysterious crack in it. That's when they reached out to me for a solution to their problem. Now, as much as I wanted to just patch the crack, I thought it'd be best to make up for my poor offering by giving them this Echo trimmer instead. The reason why is because this Echo trimmer is a lot lighter than the Ryobi, and its quality is also a lot better too. Now, there's nothing wrong with the Ryobi trimmer. In fact, I didn't mind using it, but no one in their right mind would say that it's better than an Echo. Now, as far as I can tell, the makers of the Ryobi trimmer have done a pretty good job of making a very decent trimmer. But for me, the only drawback is the mild steel shaft on it, which makes it a bit awkward to use because of its weight. Now, the Echo, however, has an aluminum shaft, which makes it a lot lighter, especially where it counts the most. Now, the engine on the Echo speaks for itself, and most know it to be a very good one and very reliable. Now, I won't be making any claims for the Ryobi engine, but since the company's been around for a really long time, I'd like to think they know exactly what they're doing. Now, some of you might be asking if I'm taking any cash with the trade because of the difference in quality, and the answer is no. Now, for me, I value friendship more than a couple of $20 bills, and yes, you are correct, I can't pay my mortgage with friendship, but I certainly think it's worth it in the long run. Of course, I'm not going to give them free service and free equipment from now until the end of time, but I will let you know they were also a bit taken back when I told them that I wanted to do a straight trade across. And what I mean by that is that they were also prepared to pay a little extra for the trade as well, which is great to know. Now, I'm not too picky when it comes to picking up free stuff or even trading for items, but my only requirement is that it needs to be complete, meaning it's not missing any parts. However, beggars can't be choosers, so even when it's missing one or two small items, I'll still end up taking it. And of course, I also wouldn't mind if the item I'm picking up or trading for was also clean, but yet again, you get what you can get. Now, I've mentioned it before in other videos, but most owner's manuals will tell you not to wash your machines because if you're not careful, you could get water in a place where it could damage it. And that's why I would always recommend that you start the machine after the cleaning just to make sure that you haven't damaged it. Of course, it is summertime right now and it's about 100 degrees outside, so the water that's on this trimmer isn't going to stay there on there very long, especially if I leave it in direct sunlight. I'm also going to put the air filter back on the machine since I didn't want to get it wet while I was washing it. And of course, I'll need it in place just on the off chance that I need to make any fuel adjustments to the carb, but from how it was running before, I don't think we'll need to do that. Now, there really wasn't a need for me to rev it to the max, I just needed to make sure that the machine would start and run. Now, by the time you see this video, this trade will be about a month old, if not a little bit more, and I've still got the Ryobi trimmer. However, I'm not really sure if I'll make a video on fixing that leak, so I'll have to wait and see if I find anything interesting to show. So the bigger question is, would I have made the same terms for the trade for someone I didn't know? And I'm pretty sure I don't have to say this, but the answer is no. This was a trade between friends, and like I mentioned before, I value that a lot more than some money. Of course, I would hope that you do the same thing for your friends or family, but then again, it is your choice to make. So my question is, do you think I should have taken at least some money on top of the trade because of the huge difference in trimmer quality, or do you think what I did was just fine? Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate your time here. Please feel free to ask me any questions about this project or about your own projects, and I hope to see you in the next video.